wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Solitus tuo, usuncarum, ungularum, delectatque contremescit me. Intro.
Hey, Elmers, we're back. It's 13th Elm. It's Rob. It's Mykel. It's Bill.
What's going on, Elmers?
Hey, yuck.
It's Wednesday.
Hey, we're switching it up. Wednesdays is Wednesday.
Wednesday's today.
So y'all know we always record on Fridays. It's a corner piece of our podcast, and now we're switching to Wednesdays. I hope we don't lose any of you.
Please don't leave.
Today's movie was 1992's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Francis Ford Coppola, Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins, Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Cary Elwes.
Stacked.
Yeah, it is really an amazing cast. Won 3 Oscars.
Yeah.
It was also the 9th highest grossing film that year. It was number 1 the weekend it came out in the box office in November. Yeah, it's kind of a big fucking deal. And somewhat nostalgic to me, and I also don't remember as much as I thought I did. Yes. Jesus Christ, Cher.
We have a Screech Cat joining us.
We have a Screech Cat. She's always joining us, and we love her. Say hi, Cher. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Is it true that Cher's name was almost Harker?
Yes, that is true. I almost named her Mina Harker.
Because you said she looks like Winona?
No.
What Academy Awards did this win? That's a real question.
Best makeup.
I was about to say, is it just like costume shit, probably?
And yeah, I think one other one.
Art direction?
Best sound editing effects, best costume, best makeup. It was nominated for also best art direction, which it did not win. And then it won a bunch of Saturn Awards as well, which is like sci-fi.
You know what it wasn't nominated for, what it should have been nominated for,
what?
But it wouldn't be because of the genre?
An Elmy?
Gary Oldman should have been nominated for this.
Oh, yeah.
He was really
what?
fucking good.
His acting.
Weirdest hair?
His sexy curls? How dare you besmirch him?
That hair looked heavy.
It looked treated, but, it's still sexy.
I love the way he looks.
This is a sexy movie, but I don't think it's sexy because of him. Well,
really?
Because of
You're insane.
Because of old him.
No.
Young him is hot.
Young him is hot. Yeah. Why would we think it was because of old him?
Well, because we were just talking about his hair.
You brought that up also, though.
Like, so he's sexy. You're like, not really. Well, young him. Like, yeah, of course, young him.
His hair looks heavy. Who brought that up? We were talking about it. You were sure.
His hair looks heavy.
His hair is heavy.
Heavy is the head that lays the hair.
Yes.
And Cary Elwes also sexy.
Cary Elwes, he's got that fucking strong mustache. Makes him want to fuck.
So I don't know if this is just me or not, but I think his face is so fucking funny looking that I giggle a little bit whenever I see him. And I don't know
what is particularly
if it's
funny about it?
Cary Elwes?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like
in this movie or always.
Always. I don't know if it's
the way he looks.
It's funny in Saw when he's laying there all bleeding out. You're like,
he's like way older. He doesn't look, but like I think it's mostly because of like
Princess Bride, Men in Tights,
and Men in Tights. But every single time he came on the screen, I had like a really big smile. He just looks like whatever he's gonna say is gonna be fucking funny, and
he
it's
looks
not
like
in this movie.
So
but
charming,
so
cartoonishly charming.
He looks like he's on the front of a romance novel.
Yes,
yes,
he really does. Honestly, like he's so
Prince
handsome
Charming
and like debonair, right?
But he also has one of those
Sexy.
faces where it kind of looks like he's always about to laugh. If that
Yes.
makes
Like
sense.
good-natured.
Which, like, makes me like
Like he's always
like,
got
it
a
looks like
wry
he's holding
smile.
in a laugh.
right? And like you want him to like cook you breakfast in the morning.
Yes. And a little
Yes.
apron and like nothing else.
Nothing. Oh, his little butt sticking out.
His big butt.
Yeah, he's got
Big
a big
butt,
butt.
baby.
In
Yeah.
a wagon.
Yeah. What's he baking? What's he making?
He's making
Bacon.
fucking
He's
sweet
baking
rolls.
bacon.
Peach sweet rolls.
Oh my god! Do you think he knows how to make crepes?
I think he probably knows how to make crepes.
You think you make a crepes? This is good. We're staying on track.
What
movie did you watch?
Yeah.
Because I was throwing rope to Cary Elwes making me fucking breakfast the whole fucking movie. I was not thinking about Dracula. I was thinking about
cool. Oh man, this movie. Okay,
Cult
so
of
let's just
Dragons.
start with the beginning because there's a lot. Beginning is kind of a I don't know, a flashback or like a dramatic retelling of him in 1450s
Something.
and he's wearing like it looks like something between Stretch Armstrong and Twizzlers
It
or
looks
Red
like-
Vines,
It looks like he's just made out of arteries.
but also like candy.
It looks insane.
Like
yeah,
red
he looks
licorice.
like the Twizzler man.
Yeah, the Twizzler man.
he's so dope.
But he is like killing Turks. Oh man,
And
Slaying
Keikos. I think he got
Turks.
one Keikos.
he
in
did
there.
good at Keikos, and there's a lot of Anthony Hopkins talking about like the defense of Christendom, basically. And I mean that's pretty realistic. Like I mean he was like Vlad Tepes, like literally was a prince in Wallachia who repelled like Turkish invasions over the course of his entire reign. He also like imprisoned his own brother for trying to like rebel and overtake him, and like he's a bastard. Yeah, they do all that, and it's a lot of like red kind of filters and like kind of shadow battlefield,
It's
like
like
him
a
like
fever dream,
stabbing
shadow
them
puppet battle.
with spears and then using swords and chopping people's arms off.
They kind of look
Well, it's
like
awesome, is what it is.
It kind of looks like the little dudes in the Deathly Hallows story.
Oh yeah, like a puppet. Yeah,
Well,
puppet style.
Okay, so you
but
guys,
it's
Shadow
not, it's
play.
not
God,
that.
you
but-
guys are like so close and that
Educate
sounds
us.
So fucking rude.
Please
but like,
educate us,
but
because
like,
you're like
okay,
a
yeah.
film guy.
Okay, so like that.
No, let's hear what it
No.
really was.
No, but like you're nailing all the things. You really are.
What is it called?
Okay, so like like the shadow puppets or whatever you call them from the Deathly Hallows.
Yeah.
Well, that's like a direct ripoff of not like ripoff, but like an homage to like the original like animation is what they would
Yeah.
call it. But for it, like the Adventures of Prince Ahmed, right? And then, but also we're talking about like
Cambodian
Nosferatu, like the F.W. Marneau film, and this is all like in the height of German expressionist cinema, like we were familiar with because we watched Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Remember?
I was gonna bring that up.
Okay, so like this whole beginning with like the filters and the shadows and like even like the whole fucking film. Honestly, we're talking about Francis Ford Coppola. Like, shut the fuck up. This dude knows his
Nerd.
shit. We're talking about The Godfather, obviously, Apocalypse Now, The Outsiders, Dimension 13. We're talking about like some films that are pretty well known and
big.
pretty well received, and he's won an insane amount of awards. This movie was like another one of these love letter movies. He really was channeling a lot of that like 1920s silent era Second Reich German expressionist cinema, and I think he was also kind of tipping the hat to Herzog, who was tipping the hat in his 78, 79, whatever year he made Nosferatu to the original F.W. Marneau. So like this just had a lot of like really artistic, expressionist, over the top cuts, swipes, edits, not just costumes and makeup, but also like they would put like superimposed images and effects in the backgrounds and in the moon and in the sky and in the eyes, and like how fucking cool were all those shadow scenes. Like, I know if you think it's campy, like that's fine, and it does kind of stand out as a product of its time, like the early 90s with some of the effects and the CGI, but like it's also a pretty cool time capsule for like this movie is just like one of those stories that gets told every few fucking years in an iconic way that also has a stamp of its time. And like you look at Nosferatu, like the original, and it's silent, obviously, and then you do the Herzog, and then this one, it's like we're almost due for another one with like a more modern take, something that's taken a little bit more seriously, not just some vampire movie, but like a Dracula telling.
Isn't Eggers supposed to do Nosferatu?
Yes, yeah. And like
that'll probably be fucking.
And we're due for it. And you know what though?
Yeah, I'd watch that.
The thing is like I don't know. I've never. Well, maybe Northman. But Eggers is going to do more of like a period piece, I would think. Like, I don't see him leaning hard into that like expressionist cinema, whereas Coppola really did. I think when Eggers gets a hold of Nosferatu, it's going to be like as historically accurate as he can muster it today. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of dress and set design and the language and things like that. You're
going to have the captions on for sure.
Versus this was like really, really theatrical. It was very artistic.
Oh, it played very much like a play.
And if you're not interested in that, this movie can be too distracting. And I already think it has its flaws. It was a little too long, and it was a little dry in the middle there for a while. But the opening and all the grandeur and like the blood and the score and like just Oldman's performance, like when he's first losing Elisabetta and he's screaming, and it's not like
stabs the giant cross, it's bleeding.
But for whatever reason, it doesn't feel over the top and out of the place like say Darth Vader in like Revenge of the Sith when he's like, oh, it's not like so comical. Even though this is so over the top, it does feel in a way like it's a stage play, like he's acting for the people in the back of the room, right? Like it's so loud but it's so raw, but it never made me feel like it was unbelievable in a world that's you're stretching a lot of what you will consider believable already.
There was more Romanian than I thought there would be in this movie.
And you've seen this?
I've seen this movie a couple times.
And it's more than you remembered?
Yeah, a lot of it, honestly. Like I remember broad strokes, but some of the later stuff in the third act, like them like going around like with the ship and stuff, like I didn't remember that. But yeah, I don't know. The beginning of it too, like you said, like definitely everything in the flashback, but also when John Harker like first is coming on the train, all of that like just color scheme is very like set design-esque, and like the lighting and everything is like that. Very
and then
much
you also get like the Gary Oldman Dracula like passing through in the reflection of like the train car windows and like on the sunset and stuff like that.
There's a lot of like him in there's a lot of people in skies in this movie,
and in glass and reflections. And like I like all the mirror play. And
I do like mirror play.
Yeah, so like a lot of this stuff was really fun. Even though, like I said, it wasn't necessarily like new because the story is classic and we've had so many iconic tellings of it. But like this is a real stamp of the time. Like the way that they did some of those mirror effects and things is like you could tell they were experimenting with technologies that maybe haven't been given that budget and scale and the cast to tell this story. You know, because the last big one was probably in the 70s. You know, you had all the like Hammer stuff that came out in the 60s and 70s, which are big, but they don't have necessarily the budget. And then you had Herzog, and we haven't had a classic Dracula telling in a while.
I believe that the blue fire technique is the only actual like totally computer generated. Everything else is done with like old school film technique, like all the mirror shots and stuff like that.
That was wild though. Just the blue rings coming out of the earth.
So that's actually from the book.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it had to be from something because it didn't fit.
Yeah.
And I was like, the fact that this didn't fit, like it has to be from the book or something, because they wouldn't just throw this in there. But it definitely did not.
It fits perfectly, except in its execution, right? Because it's so clearly like 91 or silly, 93 or whatever.
Now,
because if you did that today, like, dude, if you give Eggers a few $million to like play around with whatever he wants, and he can come up with some cool, creepy like mist that doesn't look fake at all, but looks uncanny and like it's out of place. Like, yeah, this is cool. Like, we deserve an update. And I know that this movie won some awards, and I know it made a lot of money, and I know also it's been panned, but I could see this coming back around as like a real popular culty film. It is a little bit long, but like Winona Ryder has a resurgence in her career with Stranger Things. The truth of the matter is like Gary Oldman or Francis Ford Coppola, one of them is going to die in the next 5 to 20 years, and there's going to be a huge resurgence over like all of their works and the lesser celebrated ones. And instead of just talking about The Godfather and fucking Sirius Black or Sid and Nancy, someone's going to be like, "Oh, he's so good in Dracula." Like, this movie's going to be pretty posh in the next 10 to 20 years, I'd say, just for a certain crowd, because it's probably already kind of doing that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Did you guys know about this film? You knew about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the more popular vampire movies.
Yeah. Like, it's pretty,
Like,
pretty
I thought
popular.
it kind of already was like a classic. Like I'm the only one that this was the first time seeing it, right? Like, you've seen this before.
Yeah, but it was basically like a first time watch. I owned
Yeah, it's
it
been a long
because it was
time.
like I was horror and Coppola nerd, and I picked it up one time, and I think I'd watched it once, and it sat on my shelf until I like moved out of the dorms and sold all of my shit. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't familiar with it really, and I definitely liked this movie more now than I did then, and I think a lot of that is because of I just have a deeper understanding of kind of what Coppola was doing with this film. It just in terms of like I've had a larger exposure to the films that and the filmmakers that inspired this work, and also the source material, and just I don't know, fucking growing up, man. I probably didn't.
Yeah,
I
this
watched
is
this when I was like
not-
20, 21.
Yeah, this would not be an enjoyable movie for
20-year-old Bill.
yeah, for most college students, I feel like, or like high school or whatever.
I mean, what?
It depends.
What about high school? What about like middle school? You think it would be fun? It's kind of long.
I mean, because of the
2 hours.
nudity in middle
and,
school.
like blood and stuff. Like
Yeah,
Dracula. There's like ghouls
But I
and
feel like if you're-
transformation
and
shit.
yeah, lore and like blood. How cool is
but
that?
I feel like if you're getting your hands on
blood
this, you're probably
vomit.
able to get your hands on like some gorier.
but not
Possibly,
not
'cause,
like-
95.
because it's like
2000,
this is a
2003.
Dracula movie with a big name cast. So like
Yeah, I didn't
feel like
realize
it
the
passes
cast
the
was
mom
stacked.
test. You
Yeah,
know?
like you're probably going to be able to
Yeah,
rent
that's
this
true.
at Blockbuster, or
Yeah.
maybe you see it late night on like a USA network or something, a TBS.
And it's called
like-
Bram Stoker's too. It's like it's the
It's a real movie,
it's a
Keanu-
movie, yeah.
Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder.
Fuck,
Like,
can we talk about Keanu?
can we talk about his really good fucking
his
accent?
fantastic performance.
Really?
No.
Okay, I think I was,
No, honestly, I think if you would have replaced him with some
Anyone?
nobody who just put in a forgettable performance, this movie would be better. If you put him with somebody who could match the Gary Oldman level performance that they had, like, it might have even been too much. But Keanu is definitely the weak point, and it's because he's just so clearly a fucking hole.
he's not good in this, and I would say you keep saying like replace him, blah blah blah. Take him out. Take him and his
But you
character
need
out.
Harker.
No, you have to have
It's-
John Harker.
I mean, for the book.
No, you.
It's Bram Stoker's
have to.
Dracula.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you do need him. I get that. But if you took him out, the bad acting would be gone. That boring character would be gone, and it would be 30 minutes shorter.
Yeah, I mean,
You wouldn't have a movie.
it's
I know.
He is the protagonist.
I know
He
that.
advances the story more than any other
he
character.
also like introduces Dracula and like
He's the reason to follow the narrative, because he's the one who's selling or like not commissioning. He's the one who's fucking like representing the property.
Yeah,
and also
but
Mina,
God,
you
it
know.
was- yeah, Mina was great. I mean,
Mina Miel?
1 in a million performance from
Mina Jean?
Winona Ryder.
How's
who
her
I
accent?
really like.
It's okay.
It was fine. I mean, this
Yeah.
movie had a lot of crazy accents.
Gary
but-
Oldman had the best accent, which is funny because he's actually English, but his accent was Romanian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everybody in the movie had an English accent except for the English guy.
Was like I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, it was
I
funny.
don't
He
think
seemed
he
to be
knew
hot
what he
and
was
cold.
doing.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
Yeah, the two English guys were the two guys
They
without
couldn't
English
nail it. They
accents.
couldn't do it.
They would do Romanian accents.
Him screaming Dracula a lot.
It was silly.
Oh man. Okay, so yeah, Keanu is terrible. He literally sounds like you picked up a frat boy from USC and like dressed him up and like be English.
He just doesn't even feel like he doesn't even want to be in the movie. You know what I mean?
I just don't get is Keanu like super super hot? Then I don't like.
Yeah, he was
get
like
that.
kind of a heartthrob.
Well, I know, and I know, but like,
Why are you asking?
is that valid? Can you validate that? Like
That's what Coppola defended it as.
Really?
Like, that they needed somebody hot for like to get female, seats and butts or whatever.
There's hotter guys in this movie.
Like Cary Oldman.
Yeah, and Cary Elwes.
Yeah.
Cary Elwes is fucking like. Not
So
he's like
funny.
almost he's like too pretty to be the hot
We
guy.
don't need
You
to
know what I
keep
mean?
going.
Though?
Yeah,
We've already
he's
talked so much
cute.
about him.
Off air though.
No, it was on air.
That was on air.
Was it?
I think it was on air.
I'm pretty sure.
Fuck.
Fuck. But yeah, Gary Oldman's sexy. It's Dracula. It's mostly Dracula. You know Dracula. We don't need to get into it, do we?
You know Dracula.
He wants to buy a house. He's got to sleep in dirt.
He's got to sleep
Oh
in
my
dirt.
god, I laughed so hard when someone really seriously said something about like 50 boxes of sacred dirt being on that ship.
I mean, that's also in the book. That's like
I know, but it just hearing it out loud was
silly,
funny.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one who's seen Nosferatu and the Herzog and this one, but like that scene is in every version of this, and it's just like.
Is it funny every time?
Oh, dude, I don't know. We have a different opinion on it, but it's so fucking cool every time. Like, there's just certain, like, the first time you see Dracula or Nosferatu or whatever, Count Orlok in each of the films is awesome. When they're moving all the coffins full of dirt onto the ship is fucking awesome. When Harker finally, like, finds the Phantom Carriage is fucking awesome. Like, all of these things are so iconic to this story that if there was a completely new version of this movie that was on and no speaking lines and I didn't know existed,
Still in the movie.
I would be like, fuck, is this Dracula? And then that arm would come out and Harker would get on the fucking carriage and I'd be like, oh shit, that's so cool. So to see these guys like Murnau and Herzog and Coppola, these are powerhouses of cinema, all tackle this, is like makes me so excited to see Eggers do the same thing. And like, even if it's silly or like, I don't know, Rob's defending it by like, oh, it's in the source material, it's in the book. It's like, to me at this point, it's just like canonical to the film story. Like, I need to see that scene in a Dracula movie in order for it to fucking feel right to me. And so like, this was so much fun because I do know this story, and it's like, Coppola's my fucking dude, you know, like that's a bad man, and he did a cool story.
That's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a rotten egg.
No, I get all that. It was just really funny hearing them talk about 50 boxes of experimental dirt.
It's experimental
That's
dirt.
what they called it. Experimental dirt.
Yeah.
That is funny.
I do like Tom Waits' weird finger things,
Honestly,
whatever that is. He's
Tom
great.
Waits was
he
awesome
was
as
one of my
Renfield.
favorite characters.
He's a great
in the film, and this
performance.
is a character I've noticed is in not obviously this specific character, but like these vampire and monster supernatural movies, a lot of times have these characters that
Renfield,
everybody else in the
Igor.
movie thinks is crazy, but they just want the power of whatever the antagonist is in that movie. So yeah, in this it's what's his name, Weinford or
Renfield.
where he's like, is he at a mental hospital or
Yeah,
jail?
yeah, he's
or
at like a
it's-
sanitarium, basically.
and he's screaming through
Dr.
the thing
Seward.
like, "Master's promised me eternal life. He's gonna be here," and like, I mean, that character is in so many movies. Like, it's what's his face from Grounded for Life is like the same deal in Blade.
yeah.
But he reminded me most of the guy that's in the jail cell in 30 Days of Night.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
like everything, he's like a crazy outsider, and they lock him up, and he's like, "They're coming for me. They're gonna save me."
It's a pretty classic vampire trope, though, to have like a
there's
familiar
always,
that
like,
will help you in the
one-
daytime
But
and all
not
that.
Yeah.
only is it a classic vampire trope, but the vampire tropes are all born from the
Renfield.
Marneau fucking the Nosferatu, but also parallel to that in the German expressionism is like we see that very early on in film with the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, right? Because it's like kind of the fucking same thing where you have like the crazy guy who doesn't want to fucking be believed, blah 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 blah, and it's reflective of the like early 20s and then like the German political scene when you had like the rising power of government, and the narrative in the German art culture at the time was kind of like to not trust what they viewed was a rise of a tyrannical government. Fucking imagine that, you know, a few years later. But so that Renfield character in like Caligari and all these other things, he's kind of like representative of like the bootlicking, brainwashed right-hand man of the power-hungry like dictator, whether it's Caligari or Dracula or fucking whoever, or like whoever's in Blade, fucking Frost, Deacon Frost, like that guy is Putin, is Hitler, is like the figurehead of a tyrannical fucking government or some sort of oppressive force. And then you have the
simps.
Yeah, the simps who are just like completely fucking licking it out of the hand and eating it all up. Like that is.
And Tom Waits played that so well. Like he honestly was
he's such like
my favorite character, and
he's like such an anti-Big Brother, anti-government. Like if you know Tom Waits as a person, he's like very liberal, very outspoken. So like for him to put in that performance within that type of character is like, I think he brought in a lot of layers, not only in like terms of like mental health, but also like the mind state of what that person would be. Like I've not seen him act in much. I know he's in a handful of things. And Tom Waits is one of those guys I always like wanted to fucking like, because I'm an eclectic music fan, but I just can't get behind most of his music. It really fucking annoys me. I don't care for Tom Waits,
but I like him way more as a person now.
He killed it in this to me, and he's got just like a fucking cool look. He kind of has like
he looks kind of
weird
crazy.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, the hair, right?
He has a big head, kind of big hair.
Yeah, and he's got like eccentric features. Like he looks like he would be at home in like a Tim Burton style movie,
like a steampunk film.
You know what I mean? Like Tim Burton always has those characters that are like
just at home,
really like muted in most of their ways, but they have like
excessive,
one singular feature. Like they dress in all black and white, but they have bright red lips or
scissor
like
hands.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Like he kind of had.
I could see that.
Like, and Renfield is honestly one of the best characters in any version of Dracula, whether it's like film or play or whatever, because he's so, I don't know, like you need to be scattered and like animalistic and like talking to yourself and like just over the top.
Animalistic is a great way to put it because he is like fiercely loyal as well, kind of like a beaten dog would be, like somebody who's experienced this fucking abuse, but he has a loyalty that's unparalleled, because like Renfield is not an equal in any of these stories. Like he is mistreated and kind of like exploited in ways in order for Dracula to like gain power.
Well, he's very much like a dog.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Like you said, like a familiar or whatever. It's like that is his role. He's a good character. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to like he's given the lives of the insects and the spiders to eat and consume. And like,
yeah, that was cool.
There's a lot of that like playing into like how he takes life from them, and like which is, I don't know, like there's vampires exist in this movie, so that's not true.
Yeah, and like that is the vampirism. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's cool.
But yeah, you see Renfield, you get a couple glimpses of him pretty early, and then Harker ends up in Transylvania, and we stomach through his performance, Keanu. But he meets the Count, and wow, Gary Oldman has some like excessive prosthetics. He looks.
There's too much fucking shit on
honestly,
him.
There's too much fucking shit on him for sure.
His hair is insane. It looks like it's connected to his neck.
Yeah,
I love his hair.
It's like giant buns that are like cream white.
His palms are hairy.
Like he also looks like primal, like kind of like.
It looks fucking awesome.
And he also looks like he's like 900 years old. He looks so old.
He's like 400.
Any normal person would have like knocked and seen him and be like, nope. Like even in whatever year, what was it, like 18? Yeah, exactly.
I think it's like 1840.
I know he had like a job to do or whatever, but he's walking into that guy's house.
I think they're gonna make him partner if he like closes the.
Is that what it was?
That if he can close the account out, because Renfield was the previous. Renfield was the previous guy.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that.
But yeah, he ends up going there to close the accounts and basically make him owner of Carfax Abbey in London, along with like 9 other properties, and basically has to stay there for a month extra. To close out the accounts, and it was for like drawing up the papers himself. Basically, Count Dracula wants to do that. And then there's the,
his cape.
The cape. Oh,
it's
the
so
12-foot cape.
I love that cape.
Everything about
that
it.
That aerial shot is great of him walking, and he just has like a
Dude, this movie had such beautiful cinematography and like the shots and light and the designs and like all that stuff, and it's like it is
FFC
super 90s in the way that they came across, but it also did have this weird like timeless quality because of the lack of like CGI effects. It's like even though it's like dated and you can pinpoint it to like kind of maybe where it came from, it stays modern enough with the techniques that they used because it is all physical. Like things occupy space and time. Like the performances they're interacting with things that occupy space on the screen, and like the effects and the costumes they're not digital. So like, I don't know. I can't call it like a period piece because it seems wildly inaccurate with like the armors and shit.
Kind of is.
But like everyone
has like
own
a bustle,
world, right?
You know? And like
it doesn't have to be accurate to be a period piece.
That's true.
Well, I mean, it kind of would. Otherwise, it'd be a fantasy piece. Like it has to be accurate.
But it's like
to be a
period. It's not different enough to not be the world. Like not
right.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. No, because everyone's wearing like their stiff collars and bustles. And
yeah, because I don't, and maybe I'm wildly ignorant,
costumes.
but that fucking cape has never been like.
I think that's like a 15th century style, Lord's cape, and
it's also stylized for the film, right?
I fucking love the scene of when they're like looking out the window, and then John Harker like looks back, and you just see the edge of the cape like leaving the bedroom.
I love that.
That's a good scene.
I love all of the like out of the corner of your eyes like misdirections. Like you think Dracula's on the left hand side, and then the shadow moves from the right hand side.
Dude.
Lots of shadow play and
that shit's
like
tight.
he's over there.
That was all
there.
Coppola. That's all his own idea. Yeah, of course it is. But
it is.
It's so good.
Coppola,
and like
if you're listening, is he alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know you're listening, Franny.
Yeah, but he's mostly making wine these days.
Hey, Fran, if you're listening.
Well, he's not, but he's mostly getting paid off of wine these days.
There's that. There's the scene where he cuts. John Harker's like shaving himself, and he cuts
God,
himself.
I love that,
and that's in all the movies too, and in the book.
And he shaves them.
Yeah, and I guess apparently Oldman got like drunk before shooting that scene.
Oldman was drunk before using a razor blade?
Yep.
It could have been a real razor blade in the 90s.
Might have been.
Dude, that's such a good fucking scene.
Is that why you asked me earlier if you could shave me? Were you thinking of that?
Kind of.
Not really.
I would lick your blood off of a blade.
I did like that, even though I knew it was
coming.
Yeah, but I think you're supposed to.
You do.
Well, it's also not the first time we've seen it. Like you said, it's in every fucking movie. It's in every book.
Yeah.
It's like
you get the classic quote with the wolves.
Oh yeah.
Howling out there, Children of the Night, with beautiful music they make.
See, not a classic quote to me.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm not used to all of these things. Like I've never seen that scene of Dracula shaving someone and then licking blood off the blade. You know what I mean? Like that's all new.
You know it's coming. You know it's coming.
I mean, yeah, as soon as he cut himself shaving, I was like, oh, he's going to come shave him and somehow suck his blood or lick it or, like I knew where it was going.
And this is why I love this film, is because I have seen it all, or not, maybe I'm overseeing it. I don't necessarily love this film, but this is why this story is always intriguing to me, is because I love the story, and to see the interpretations play out through the minds of other people who I've respected or have been on artistic journeys with them, like, I'm pretty familiar with a lot of Coppola stuff, and the fact that I wasn't that familiar with this made it really enjoyable for me to see, but also being familiar with all the source material and where he's nodding his head to is great. So, like, another scene that's in all the movies that I really like is when Harker first gets there and Dracula offers him dinner, and he's, it's just that same conversation that they have at every fucking movie and every book. Is like, oh, please, I've already eaten and I never drink wine. Like, that's just so classic, and for me to see it with Oldman's commanding performance, holy shit. And when he swings around with that fucking sword and he's like, no, I'm the last of my kind, and like goes off on this fucking rant, and his shadow is like growing longer and shorter, and you can't tell if it's a trick or if it's in the candlelight because we haven't gotten all the shadow play yet, and like the shadow's not moving away from him. And then it starts like there's a slight delay, like whenever he moves it's like a quarter of a second behind him, and again you can't tell if it's your eye, like you don't know what's happening, and then it starts to become more and more obvious, and like all of that is so much fun that I find that I'm looking at every inch of the screen. It just fills up with activity and artistic expression, but also like that's just simply from a direction standpoint. Meanwhile, Oldman's putting in like a big dick performance.
Oh, yeah.
Like this dude is commanding, and like I said, to the back of the theater, everybody's feeling this. It's almost too big
chewing scenery
at times, but then you remind yourself, what is this? This is Dracula. It's vampires. It's excess.
Gotta be over the top.
Yeah. He's the vampire.
It's excess in excess.
Big dick Papa Vamp. And Gary delivers. God, does he deliver?
This movie is good.
We also get, I think actually it's before they like do all the month-long scene, and we'll touch on the brides in a second. But you get a shot of Winona, and you get a Mina Harker and her friend,
she's a
Sana?
queen.
What?
Who's Mina's friend? Lucy.
Thank you.
She's hot. This movie is sexy.
Horny.
We'll get into that.
Hot.
She is so
Lucy's
horny at the
and
beginning.
gets like 3 marriage proposals right off the bat.
There's lots of all those sexual innuendos she's doing like at the pub.
She's fucking hot.
And,
She shows up with Mina.
Mina's like, "Oh, you." She's a good girl.
Mina, yeah. I mean, there's so many, and like all the moonlight shots too.
That's true. Yeah.
Are really good. But my God, yeah, Lucy just going horn dog at the bar was pretty funny.
It was great.
Yeah.
Just going up to men and they're immediately like, "I love you," pretty much.
Did you get,
she had full control
She
over
was good.
everything.
She had a good performance too.
She was
honestly.
good.
She wasn't a huge character.
She is though.
Lucy.
Yeah, she is. Like she's the
compared
first vampire. Like she takes up
Does
like
she
a
come
large.
out of the bed? Is she one of the ones that comes out of the bed?
No.
No. She's the one in the glass coffin.
Yes. She's the one who gives Dracula like some of his first blood.
She's a pretty big character, I feel like. More than like Dr. Seward or like any of the other like kind of side guys, but
yeah, true.
And of course we've got, well, not of course yet, but we haven't got there yet. But yeah, and she's like deciding on which suitor she's going to pick, and Mina is getting letters from John, in Transylvania about having to stick around for another month, and she's all depressed. But we get back to Transylvania, and John is like really weirded out. Like he keeps seeing weird stuff happening. I think is there a scene of Dracula climbing on the walls?
Yeah, outside the castle.
Yeah.
That's like relatively early, I feel like.
And that's also in like pretty much all
hour.
the movies.
And that's another like, bro, get the fuck out the house.
Yeah, right.
I know you want the promotion, but
he also
you just saw Gary Oldman crawling on the outside of the house like Spider-Man.
The reaction with this cape like going up, right?
Like
fighting
no gravity.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And reacting to the crucifix and like breaking the mirror and all of that, all of that classic shit.
When does the baby come?
Oh, the baby. Okay, so that's pretty great. I don't think there's a baby in any of the other versions I've seen, or even in the book, I don't know. But yeah, that he like gets a baby and feeds his brides. Yeah,
that shit was tight. This movie has some good gore.
It did.
The effects were good.
Did.
When I first, because you get those
blood vomit gore was sick.
You get the silly blue ring things that are in the book.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, the fire.
And I was like, oh shit, is this gonna be just like weird
garbage
CGI the whole time? But then like the actual gore is good.
The special effects and
special
prosthetics
effects
are good.
Solid, yeah.
The wolf version of bat version of him is weird but cool.
Yeah,
very rapey.
Pretty like, isn't it weird? Or like, I don't know. I feel like we all have gravitated towards these types of movies, or maybe we're shown them earlier than you might show a kid this type of stuff today. And we always talk about that, like how dark like some of the 80s and 90s stuff was, even for kids, whether it's like Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, shit like that. But it's like this movie, not that it's for kids, but like there were scenes in this movie that I felt like were kind of shocking and startling to see today. And not because you and I don't watch fucking wild shit. I mean, I watched August Underground 2 like 2 nights ago. Like, I see horrible shit, but it's not
Mega
often that you see them today with stars and like the cast and crew that this has. Like, Francis Ford Coppola is not directing movies with Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, and fucking Cary Elwes that are full of tits and like
people getting their heads hacked off,
like rape, like on screen.
Yeah,
like that's
outside.
Not something that's happening today, and it really hasn't happened for some time. But I feel like it was pretty common when I was young. Even
I mean, that
like,
was 30 years ago.
Yes,
So.
but like it's weird that it's something that I've always felt like.
Accepted.
Of course, you see that, and I guess even though I'm aware of it. It was a weird thing to me now that it was like I saw it and it was weird. It was like enough time has moved on in like the public consciousness, and that's been far enough removed from like mainstream Hollywood and stuff. But like you used to see these types of movies regularly on like cable television, and sure there was like a little bit of editing, but it's like you see the general's daughter and shit, and it's like violent rape shit on like mostly like network television. And it's like movies aren't made like that really anymore, because when I first saw that like werewolf rape scene in front of Winona Ryder, I was genuinely like oh fuck, like damn, that's.
I don't remember this, and we can talk about it off air. I don't want to. We don't have to flesh out the rape scene more on here, but I do not remember this at all.
She seems to like
a werewolf rape in front of Winona Ryder's character.
It's Lucy,
it's like in the
on like
courtyard.
an altar type of thing.
Yeah, and she's like
Gets
being
raped by who?
ravaged.
A werewolf.
It's like Dracula, but he's like a wolf werewolf like hybrid thing.
And he like kind of feeds on her a little bit.
She's got like a
gather
smashed
strength.
face like vampire bat nose, but he looks like a werewolf.
I remember that look. I don't remember that though.
It was.
Damn.
Pretty sexually graphic, and it was just and like I said, we don't need to get all into that, but I just remember thinking like how startling, and then like to think that it was so normal that it would be in a film that grossed fucking almost $300 million and won Academy Awards and starred huge
won
stars.
3 Academy Awards,
and it's Coppola, and
like you said, it is in a weird way. It is kind of like a family horror movie for some reason, even though it's.
Yes.
Not.
Even though it's violent, and it's like, but it's like that high. It's
like
real
Frankenstein,
movie.
Dracula. You know, it's like a classic.
So
the Mummy,
the Universal monsters, and like
Suicide
ghost
Cast.
movies, for whatever reason, get some weird pass in like the horror
Yeah.
genre, right? Because it's like relatable or classic stories, like they stand the test of time. It's not just like slashers and shit, but for whatever reason,
Art.
you already
It's
know
high-
what
it's a
it
higher
is.
art.
Yeah.
You hear that, you know what it is, and you say that's fine.
yes. And so because of that, like you said, it passes the mom test because it's Bram Stoker, it's Keanu Reeves, it's a big movie budget, but like maybe mom didn't watch it and she doesn't realize how much sexual violence and
mom wouldn't
blood.
like this
and
movie.
No. But you might have been able to get away with renting it if she didn't know. You know, you could just pick it up and it's Dracula. It's got big stars in it.
She's like, oh, what did you rent from Blockbuster? She's like, Dracula. You're like, oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
You can watch that. Don't stay up too late.
But I don't know, this movie hits kind of fucking hard despite being like kind of a boring mainstream slog in the middle parts of it. Like there were flaws, but like I don't know, like you said, the gore was good and there was some startling shit and some cool effects and great performances.
Yeah, I feel like the first beheading, I was kind of like, damn.
Damn.
Well, like the baby eating was tight.
Yeah, the baby eating was tight.
Baby eating's tight.
Later, what is it? Anthony Hopkins, Van Helsing, who's
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about Anthony Hopkins
he's
yet.
like,
He's
I feel
wild.
like he's kind of phoning it in. Like, I don't know.
So
You know,
when we get introduced to him, he's in that classroom where the classroom is like a pit, and the students are up around him.
that's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But did it remind you of
The Brood.
Harry Potter during the trial when Barty Crouch Jr. gets called out from the guy in the cage?
The fucking Wizengamot.
Doesn't it look like that? That's what I thought. But I do think, I mean, that is tight. That
It
was
is.
like a real space that was like what.
Or they perform like surgery like that, you know?
Yeah, like in The Brood, where when he's doing I don't know, his like psychological experiment shit in front of an audience.
Fuck, marry, kill. Umbridge, Fudge, Snape.
Ooh, well, we're marrying Snape.
Marrying Snape for sure. Killing
Umbridge.
And fucking whoever was left.
Fudge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know what I was gonna say. I just threw it out quickly, and like once I said it, it's
obvious.
Entirely obvious.
Yeah.
Because Dolores Umbridge, that bitch is dying.
Yeah.
We're
horribly.
fucking killing her.
Oh yeah, you're dead.
And like, God, I'm marrying Snape, a little sexy Alan Rickman.
He's like kind of a good guy.
He is kind of a good guy.
Yeah, and he's like, smart, and he can probably cook.
Oh, he can definitely cook. He's a chemist.
And he can dress.
If
you're into like that gothic, like all emo fucking thing
Sad
with
boy.
like straightened fucking hair and like pale skin.
Hook nose.
Yeah, I would definitely fuck Snape.
Snapey.
Shout out to Snape.
Dude, Alan Rickman, if you're listening, we love you.
Well, from beyond.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. What? Yeah. So anyway,
what are we talking about? The Room. Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing.
Right, and that's in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins as Cedric Diggory. Could you imagine a 78-year-old Anthony Hopkins played
not as Amos the father, but as Cedric.
Yeah.
The like Throb King equivalent.
He's handsome, Anthony Hopkins.
Dude,
his accent's wild too. Another crazy accent.
It is, movie. Yeah. Him doing like kind of a Romanian. He's Dracula, the man I've been hunting all my life.
That was really fucking funny the way he said that, just like that.
Yeah, his
so
delivery was deadpan. Exactly. He's wild. I love him now.
His performance is questionable.
I would eat lemon cookies with him.
Most of them are. Most of the performances in this movie are
not
so
great.
honest.
Winona's great.
Winona's pretty good. Winona's honestly usually pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
I feel like for whatever reason, Hollywood does this thing where they fucking chew up actresses entering their late to mid 30s, especially from her era coming out of the like late 80s, early 90s. She had some shoplifting like shit and like was kind of made of a joke out of in the media. Yeah, she got caught on camera like shoplifting something, and like they kind of made a joke out of her in the media and shit. And this is fuck Hollywood, dude. They do this shit to fucking young women all the time. But she really came back with this Stranger Things shit, which I don't think anybody expected to be the hit that they ended up being. And honestly, it was just supposed to be one season. You got to push the button on that. But anyway,
I thought you meant push the button. Push the fucking button on Stranger Things that says end this show. It's been too many seasons. Push the button. He's not talking to me, folks. Push the button on Stranger Things. It's done.
No,
you heard it here, folks.
If you want to hit that fucking drug pin, you got to push the button, dumbass.
Don't talk to Winona Ryder about that. Yeah,
but anyway, like Winona Ryder came back and fucking really killed it. But I don't think she's ever missed, man. Like she's great in Beetlejuice.
No,
she's great in this.
True.
She's great in fucking everything.
She's so good in Beetlejuice. When she plays Mina, like I like her more and more.
That's true. I agree.
Like she just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it's like she woke up and she gave me two fucking choices. It's like, do you gonna like this movie? Yes or yes. And her and Gary Oldman together, like I didn't know I needed it.
Pretty great and believable. Yeah. The romance, the weird.
Their
There's an age
relationship is
difference.
believable.
The
Yeah.
age
10
difference
years,
isn't
but
so
it makes sense
big,
in 1840.
It does, and like
I feel
I'm
like
not
there
trying
has
to
to be
make.
for vampire shit too, though, right?
Well, Lucy even jokes about. She's like, "I'm 21.
I'm an
and
old
maid."
hag, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm not married yet.
And I hate to like make excuses because we do see a lot of like gross tropes, but it is like 1840s and it's vampire and it's like a 8 to 12 year age gap. It's not crazy. Like a lot of times you see
25.
and it's not even commented on, and they have a fucking 10-year-old kid in the movie or something. It's like all those 70s, 80s, like golden age of cinema shit. It's like always some 22 to 30-year-old woman and a 55-year-old leading man, and they have a fucking 16-year-old child.
It's like, what?
And it wasn't that. It wasn't that bad in this film.
No.
which is good because Winona is an adult and Gary Oldman is like pretty young in this movie.
He's
like 31, 32.
Yeah, something like that.
God,
He also looks
handsome in this
fucking
movie. Yeah, he's
sexy.
He
fucking
looks good.
Fuck.
I mean, he looks like Sirius Black. He looks like
yeah,
the
he
character
does.
Sirius Black a lot of the times.
What,
You know,
like
he
younger
also-
when he's playing like Count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Dracula.
Yeah. He's sexy.
And Winona also
Check.
plays
Cool.
Elizabetta, his wife, in the the early part of the movie
Yeah, that's
back in
pretty important.
1450. And she's the wife of Dracula. Dracula goes out to fight the Turks, and the Turks lose and send a letter by arrow into the castle to say that they'd killed her husband. So she takes her own life by jumping out the window. And then
It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet thing. Like she
Yeah.
kills himself or herself thinking that he has already died. He returns
And-
to, you know.
he what?
No, go ahead, because I'm sure your thought has it's way more.
And this is something that I feel is like I should have looked this up earlier and I didn't. I don't think this is in the book where Mina is the reincarnation of his old wife. I don't think that's ever part of it. She's just an object of like attraction and like that he's going to eat or have or whatever.
But that has occurred in the film iterations of this. It's not necessarily. Well, it kind of. I can't recall how
I think
this
it's
book
just
goes,
this
but
one,
like
right?
the book could like they're two different characters, and in the films they are always two different characters, but they're often portrayed by the same actress because the characters share similar qualities, and it's not ever explicitly said in the movie that's supposed to be the same fucking person. Like this person's name is Elizabetta, and then it's also Mina. Wilhelmina.
Right.
And in Marno's Nosferatu, I can't remember, but it's the same shit, but it's the woman plays both Count Orlok's love interest from, hundreds of years prior, and then it's not Jonathan Harker. I can't remember. The names in Nosferatu are slightly different.
Yeah, because it's a ripoff of Dracula. Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that's happened before, but I don't think it's in the book. It's supposed to feel the same way.
Funny thing, this is also a trope that carries over in the D&D Wizards of the Coast campaign, Curse of Strahd, which is heavily based on Dracula, in that like there's a reincarnation of the wife. I like it. I feel like it ties things together in a nice little bow. Like it makes Dracula more likable, and maybe he's not supposed to be.
Would you call Strahd a cuck?
I would call Strahd a cuck. I don't think Dracula is though. Dracula's like kind of
Powerful.
He's Dracula.
He literally said like, "Fuck God, I'm gonna live forever," and then did.
That's like really
400
sexy.
years, but
Close enough.
close enough.
Longer than most.
Longer than everyone, really.
Well, even like
Yeah,
everyone.
Methuselah, 200 years. But
Jeroboam. Where were we?
Yep.
Nebuchadnezzar.
I think I was going to comment on how that one part with them sending the letter into the window with the bow
Yeah.
made me understand that joke in Monty Python when they have to send a letter and they shoot it through the window and it hits the guy in the chest.
It's good. See? That's why.
That's what I was starting, and I was like,
glad
no,
you
you
waited.
go ahead and finish your thought because mine is dumb.
That's good.
But I thought about that, and that shit is really funny, and it definitely
it adds
is,
layers
it
to
is
all of
from
our
that,
favorite
and
things.
I was like, fuck, now that's funnier to me
yeah.
because I know that's from this.
Yeah, no, there's a
story.
lot. Yeah, this is a well received movie and people love it for good reason.
Receive me.
But Winona's great, Oldman's great. Eventually they do meet and cross paths once he gets to London after the ship, comes in and
It's a
he
fun scene,
slowly
right?
eats all of the, sailors on it through the storm, and the storm seems to follow Dracula. Dracula does have not even supernatural, but like almost
60.
cosmic powers where he can bring about like misfortune and I love it. I love it. And yeah,
How about that
London.
drip? How about that drip he's got when he's on the streets of
Yeah.
London with those fucking glasses? And that
Those
top
purple
hat?
sunglasses.
That top hat and that
What is
mustache.
that? I don't know, but I like it.
He's a little fucking.
He looks
commie
like
bear.
Sirius
He's a
Black and
prince,
Willy
little
Wonka.
Prince of Transylvania. Or what does he say he's a prince of? Something else? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He's a prince, nonetheless.
Man.
Okay, so what's your top 3 feed list? Like, if you're a vampire, who do you want to feed off of?
Jerry Dandridge.
Wait, do they die when you finish?
If you're good at it. I don't know. It depends. So, whatever. However you do
It
this.
changes the...
It's your lore. You get to create your own lore.
Chris
What kind of
Sarandon.
vampire are you?
Chris Sarandon.
Chris Sarandon.
Are you a kill? So he's a killer.
I'm Chris Sarandon.
Chris Sarandon's a killer.
No.
Yes. I'm Chris Sarandon.
He
I'm
kills
going
when
to kill people.
that vampire consumes to death.
That's
he
true.
kills.
It's true.
He kills. At that price point, he kills.
At that price point, he does kill.
He can kill.
You know, actually, no. I want to change my answer. I'm going to go Louis.
Okay. So who are you feeding off of? Top
Barack
3.
Obama.
Yep.
Wait.
That's in stone.
That's
you can't
it.
take it back. That's in stone.
Done.
Barack
No one else.
Obama.
Michelle.
No.
Just about
Rob's
his
not
whole
interested
family.
in that.
I'm not.
We know better than that.
Oof. Who else do we think? Well, what's his name?
I don't know. You tell me.
I know, right?
That's what we're asking.
I think he might already be a vampire, but Cillian Murphy.
Oh, yeah. Cillian Murphy. Has anybody seen Red Eye? That's a Wes Craven movie I haven't seen. It's got Cillian Murphy in
don't
it.
think I have. He's on a plane, right? And
Yeah,
he like
I wanna
murders
see
this
the
woman.
remake.
It's got
That's-
Rachel McAdams. I don't think you have seen it. It's
Tom
I think we've
Holland.
had this question one time, and you said that again, and I was like, "There's only one Red Eye," and you're like, "Oh, Cat Eye," and I was
Then
like,
I've seen it.
Cat's Eye.
I've seen it if it takes
Cat's
place on
Eye.
a plane.
That's
Yeah,
Red Eye.
That's
yeah.
only one. That's Cillian Murphy. It was like Wes Craven's last movie.
What year? Was
Like
that 2000?
2006,
I've seen
2005?
that. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you anything about it except for it was a
Yeah, it was his
plane.
last movie. Okay, so Cillian Murphy, Barack Obama, and
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
It's a good 3.
How about you, Bill?
Same.
Okay.
What about you?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. I don't know if I
Same?
could pick 9.
We're doing this
I don't know if I could pick 3, but I could pick 9.
One of them was in this movie.
Im Na-young?
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
I'm at least being subtle.
I hate you.
No, it would be Gio Sana and
Shut
Che.
up.
And Che.
Shut-
Or Bang Zooey.
Bang. Oh, is that N64 game?
Yeah. Banjo Bang Zooey. You're like a little turkey that rides around on the back of your favorite member of Twice, and you have to go do K-pop performances.
I'd spend so much fucking money on that.
It's a mobile game.
Yeah. You could put like your own Bitmoji in there, so it uses your own
Ooh.
face on a member of Twice. God, it's so hot. Anyway, wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I wouldn't wrap up a
Do you
single
like
thing.
the Exorcist puke spray, but blood
Blood
spray?
spray was
Exorcist
good.
blood
Love
spray was
it.
good.
I do
Love
love
it, love
me
it,
a
love it,
good
love it, love it, love it,
exorcism.
love it.
All the stuff with Lucy being like undead, being the glass coffin,
With her titties
her
out.
titties out. Yeah. They meet. They have all like sexy time. They go to the theater. What else?
Yep.
There's like a triple beheading
Yeah.
That
Van Helsing
happens real quick.
tracks down
Is it the wives that he
wives,
runs
it's the
in
3
and
wives.
gets a triple kill?
the brides.
It's just like and
What?
then more Dracula in a box, in an experimental dirt box.
He's got to have the dirt from his homeland that he's buried in.
Shit's
to, regain
hilarious.
his strength.
Get in my experimental
Experimental
dirt box.
Ooh. Talk to me dirty.
There's more weird blue circles.
Circle, circle, dot,
She's
dot.
trying to
There's like boat hunting.
well,
They're not hunting boats. They're hunting from a boat. Or
Mina
hunting with a boat.
also gets bit or burnt or something.
Burnt.
She gets burnt on the forehead.
Oh, on the forehead.
with
yeah.
like this,
With a coin
with a
or
coin
something?
or sigil or something.
It looks exactly like it just looks like a sticker.
But she like has like a mental leak with Dracula and is like kind of being controlled or influenced.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like, I don't know, she's like casting spells to like have the fire protect him or something.
I really like all the I love the Dracula, the vampire lore, how it was handled in this. Like, he can be mist, he can be like a bat.
He turns into like 1,000 mice at one point.
Yes,
that's
like he's
awesome.
He's
badass.
Yeah,
like a body made of rats.
Yeah. He's also like a wolf. Yeah, he turns into mist a couple times. He's got like
the green smoke.
A couple primal versions.
He's like telekinetic or not telekinetic,
telepathic.
Yeah, telepathic. He's sexy.
And I feel like a lot of that too is pretty like he's like the vampire, so he's got all the stuff. He's got all the bells and whistles. He's got a big old papa dick. Like
he bangs as Smoke, doesn't he? Smoke somebody up.
He does like pick them up in the
he like bangs
jail
somebody.
and like throws them against the jail cell.
Who does he Smoke bang?
Maybe
Mina. No.
Werewolf bangs Lucy.
But he Smoke bangs someone.
Does he smoke? I thought you meant he picks him up as green smoke and throws him against the jail cell.
No, there's a girl in bed and green smoke surrounds her. She gets like soaking, and then he pops
pop
into his self. But he starts it off like it's like smoke foreplay.
Smoke foreplay.
Yeah.
If you're listening and are into smoke foreplay, please email me.
Pop.
At rob@13thandelm.com.
That's right. It's actually rob at 13thandelm.com at hotmail.com.
Shit. Say hi to Cher.
I hope you didn't shit.
She's scared. Nipple blood suck.
Oh my God. I love sucking tits, and they're even better when they're covered in blood.
And Goldman gets his. Goldman.
That's
Gary Oldman. I call him Goldman.
You call him Goldman Oldman.
For short. Just combine Gary and Oldman.
Yeah, that's
my boy Goldman.
You have to explain it, which just saves time.
Yeah, when you have to explain something, that's when you really know. Well, I didn't think you got it. You didn't seem to get it.
Yeah, because it was wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's just like Gary Oldman gets his nipple blood sucked,
which is hot. He also like is in a room full of candles. It looks like he's in a music video from 1995, and is like cursing them with a storm. I think.
Yeah, it's like an extreme video or like a fucking Queensryche or some shit.
He's wearing like a white suit.
Yeah.
The costume is pretty great.
Like
in this
there should be
movie.
a tiger somewhere on set.
Yes.
Like a Siberian boy.
Yes, and a lot of like mirrors like being like just hanging in midair on wire.
Shattering.
And yes.
Like velour, like deep V-neck fucking shirts with like
gold
ruffled
chains.
cuffs.
Yes.
Long fucking hair. There needs to be a lot of wind machines.
More hair and bangs.
Yes.
Men with long hair and
Very
bangs.
thin.
I want to see thin men, like heroin chic men with the
They're
bulgy
bangs.
fucking veins.
5'8".
Bags underneath their eyes and
pieces.
fucking big dicks. These dudes have hogs. Like
Tie
they have
their
big
pants.
dick. These dudes have
With, like,
big dicks.
dicks.
Listen to me tell you about these
Listen
dicks.
to me.
These dudes have big dicks, but they're also emaciated. They're frail. So these hogs, they're just jumping off of their skeletal bodies. It's so hot.
Yeah.
You get it.
You get it. You know. If you listen to the pod before, you know.
Yeah, I lived in the 90s. I know what's sexy.
I lived in the 90s.
I know what's fucking hot. Dudes with like no fucking body fat and big tits.
Would you look a
And
dick
bangs.
with a person attached?
Yeah. Yeah. If this dick can find a way to move on its own and like pay the bills, then that's the ideal. Yeah.
Hey, Dick, can you pay my bills? Can you pay my auto dick bills?
No,
Pay
I
him
pay
a
his
tele dick
bills.
bills.
Can you pay my Meta-Dick bills?
I don't think it's true. So yeah.
Do you not know that one?
That's Destiny's Child. That's
Bills.
Oh.
Beyonce, Kelly
Do
Rowland.
you
That was
not
back when they
remember
were
when
4-piece.
Carl Tart, the king of shit, does "Can you pay"? He remixes that song. He just says shit.
Shit.
Do you remember that from Teacher's Lounge? We won't talk about this longer.
13th and Elm, your favorite podcast that talks about other podcasts that you don't listen
Literally
to.
anything else but the movie. You guys ready to just rate the film? You know, it's like they killed Dracula. How about that?
Yeah, 72.
How about that, folks? Dracula fucking dies.
72. I liked it.
You liked it? Would you like to expand on that?
I want to give it more, but like it's kind of.
Tell me what you like the most.
Oh, fucking all the big expressional set and costume. Like honestly, that shit is cool. The blood and the effects. I'm happy that most of it's practical. I love Gary Oldman. I think the lore is really fucking rich and fun. I just think sometimes that they got a little bit lost in it. Like they tried to do so much. Like you could tell that Coppola really loves the story and also the film iterations, and he tried to pay homage to Stoker, to Marneau, to Herzog, to everybody along the way, and he definitely tried to include substantial characters but also do them justice. And I think at the end, everybody being included ended up with most of them feeling a little bit thin and a decent chunk of the middle of the story being a little cluttered and without substance. But I'm so familiar with the source material and like I can kind of fill in the blanks. I don't necessarily always want to do that when I'm watching a film. I don't want to be spoon-fed, but it also wasn't engaging because I do know the story. So I struggled to give it my full attention at times as a result of that. And when the runtime is north of 2 hours, then you are kind of asking a little bit from the audience. I'm also a product of my generation. Like movies just aren't regularly debuting in the cinema north of 2 hours anymore. This movie might not have been exceedingly long at the time that it was out, but today, even as somebody who loves the genre and enjoyed the performances and was really into all the set, it drug. And if it was 20 minutes shorter, it would have been better. I don't know what you could have or should have cut out because kind of all of it needed to be there, but fuck, man, just sacrifice one or two of those things and then give me a little bit more somewhere else, and like you could have done without. I agree kind of what you said about Harker, but it can't be Harker. You get that, right? It can't be Harker.
Can't be Harker.
Like in the Nosferatu movies, it's always been Van Helsing, which is kind of unfair, and I know why he wanted to include Van Helsing in the fucking movie, but he might be the most expendable because like you need Harker and Mina to drive the plot. Obviously, you got to have like your Dracula character, and then
you don't need the hunter.
We didn't even really tell why Van Helsing shows up. He's like a blood doctor, right? He's like looking after me or Lucy.
Yeah, he's like trying to get some sort of diagnosis, and then he tracks.
But he's important. He's important.
That's all important. It's all important. Yeah. But like, would this have been better as a? Because this is the type of shit that it would be today. It tried to do too much because the big screen is like where you go to do these things, and that's where you find the big stars and everybody, the big budgets. But like this would have been better as a single season 10-part, 8-part hour-long episodic miniseries on HBO with the same cast, same budget, and just like then tell a little bit more of the story about Van Helsing and Mina and everybody else, and like you can kind of spend some more time with those characters, but you also don't have to rush through the meat. But I don't know if I would want an 8-hour version of this, like because I've seen it so many times. It's like I don't know if I'd go out of my way to watch that unless it was really fucking good.
Have you heard of the? I think it's a BBC put a series out like last year. There was like a 7-episode miniseries, and
what's it called?
It's Dracula. And I think I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that like it's really good until like the last episode. It all kind of falls to shit, but. It's supposed to be more like theatrical, formatted. But I mean, it's out there, man. Again, like this story is not going to go away anytime soon. Yeah. It's going to be done again soon, like you said, like it's due, and it'll be done again another 40 years from now.
Yeah.
So it's perennial. It is.
Well, yeah, man. It's movie. Books, it's video games, movies, TV, comics. It's everything. It's like one of those
breakfast cereal.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that's like bigger than itself. It's become its own.
It's an emoji.
Entity. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you rate it?
I gave it 72.
I'm asking Bob.
You go first.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll echo. I agree with most of the shit Mykel's saying. I mean, what does differ is that like I'm not a like classic monster vampire Dracula like guy. I don't know this story. You guys are talking about, oh, they have these quotes that's in every movie, and oh, of course they had the scene that's in every movie. I didn't know any of that, so like all this is pretty much like a new thing for me, which I guess is a benefit on my part. But I mean, you know me, I'm not like a huge vampire guy. I know this is like one of the big ones. Like I knew I was gonna watch it. Like I already know it's a classic, and when people talk about vampire movies, like I always hear this one. Like I didn't realize how star-studded it was, honestly. When I looked, I was like, oh my god, that's crazy actually. But I mean, like we said, Anthony Hopkins is awesome. He's super sexy as the Count. Like the story's good. It feels like a play, which is not my favorite thing in film, but it's Francis Ford Coppola. That's kind of like his style in a way. I did like the gore. Like you said, it's mostly practical effects. Didn't really expect that. Some of the beheadings were pretty brutal. It was definitely too long. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. It was like, what, 210? Yeah. And I mean, I also agree. I know it's hard to like pick, like, what would you cut out with that? I mean, there's nothing you can really cut out without making people like changes. You guys really fucking upset, which I get. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta compact it somehow, but I don't know how. So I don't know how much I can dock off points for that, but I'd probably give it a 70. I don't really think I'll watch it again, even though like I feel like a 70 is like a solid rating. But to me, this doesn't really have any rewatch value. Like I can't think of really any scenario that I would purposely watch this again.
It's like almost in a way it got extra points for me for being like Dracula and like kind of like a horror film. Like, you know what I mean? It's like because it's a movie, it's cinema, it's for Coppola, like all the things we talked about, and there is like a lot of the story and the narrative moving it, but like it is Dracula, it's vampires, and it's horror, and it gets bonus points, but it also is almost hampered by that. It's like kind of a ceiling because like what can you do with that I haven't already seen?
You're gonna reinvent the wheel
and hasn't already been done. And because of that, it doesn't have the most rewatchability. I like it more because of those things, but I also don't. It's on those metrics. It's not my favorite version of that. Like vampires aren't my number one thing. This isn't my number one favorite story. It's great in a lot of technical aspects, but I probably wouldn't rush to watch it again myself either.
I will say I would have, if I watched this just like on my own and someone asked me to rate it out of 100, I would have rated it a decent amount lower than a 70. But hearing you guys talk about it and learning more about the story and lore about it did make me appreciate it more.
Okay. I like this movie. I also want to rate it much higher than I'm going to. But
you can rate it. It's your choice.
I can, man. But like, and I enjoyed it.
It
but
doesn't
like,
fall flat technically.
But like you guys both said, like it's too long. And I don't think they should, and I don't want them to do it. But like, if you cut out that beginning stuff with all that's where you have to do it.
It has to be, but that's like the best part of the movie.
It's so cool, but like,
I feel like
you don't.
Because you don't need it.
You don't need it.
You could tell that story in 3 sentences without all the 10 minutes.
You could show some flashbacks of it if you really wanted to, but like, you don't need that. So I think that's where it's at. But even then, like, there's still like some drag and action, in the middle. So I don't know. I think rewatchability. I like it enough that I'd rewatch this in another year.
Yeah, man, but like you're fucking.
Like, I love vampires.
You watching
Vampire Boy.
I love Gary Oldman. So echoing again what you guys said, the practical effects, like some of the performances, some of the other ones, not so great. I'm gonna give this a 78. Like I want to give it like an 85, but it's not quite
actually that
enjoyable.
Good,
really. Like if everyone had brought their A game performance wise, and you had changed nothing,
Keanu would have been just completely different.
Keanu wouldn't have been him. Yeah, it would have been nobody. And nothing else had changed. Everything else was the same. This would have been like a high 80s, right?
If you would have, and I'm not even joking, but I'm just like, it sounds like comical now because he's such a fucking huge star. But in '93, he would have been a plucky pick. We're talking like Thelma and Louise, Cool World, and he's hot and he's fucking young. But if you would have put a young Brad Pitt in that same role, I'm not saying he's cut perfect for that fucking role, but I'm just saying, like, if you want a pretty face and somebody who can like give you a good performance and like actually act, like you could like, and I realize like exchanging Keanu for Brad Pitt isn't quite the even exchange it might have appeared to be in '93. But if you could have just made that swap in this movie or some equivalent, like that, this movie would have been a lot fucking better, right?
Yeah. But even
it's still a style over substance film in a lot of ways, and I think that that's important for this film to feel fresh because the substance is tired without a reinvention of the presentation. And even if it's the reinvention is just a doubling down over what's made it so popular and how it's been preserved through this like German expressionist cinema type of approach, like at least in the audience in the West in 1993, like even today, Bill's like, oh, I haven't fucking seen this. And not only have I not seen this, but I haven't seen nor am I tired of all the other Dracula stories. So it's like, it did a good job there, and that's what I will always take away from this film. And I mean, the Academy awarded that. Like, they gave it, some sort of merit on its costume, on its set design, on its art direction, on its makeup. And, like, it is style over substance. To me.
Yeah. No, it's
fair.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough to be 80s or plus to me.
No, it's not.
But you can like it.
You can like it, but it's not that good of a movie. And honestly, because of the runtime and like some of the dips in just quality and performance,
fucking Keanu.
Anthony Hopkins too is just kind of like.
Honestly, I think Anthony Hopkins is like wildly overrated in most everything. I think he did a great job as Hannibal Lecter, but like a lot of Anthony Hopkins stuff is like kind of silly. Like, this isn't super off the beaten path for him, and maybe I just missed out on all of his like BBC classic 80s masterpiece theater type of shit, but like I don't know, it's
this role
Anthony
just didn't
Hopkins.
seem to fit him.
It didn't fit him, plus he's also, like you said, he's like maybe like just kind of phoning it in as like I don't know, whatever.
Either way, we all seem like we had pretty close agreement on it.
I was really happy you picked this movie because it's been on my radar a lot. I needed to revisit it, and I wouldn't have done it on my own because it would have been something that I wrote off as like, oh, I saw it, I didn't love it, it was pretty cool. And even if I don't want to rush to watch it again, it was like, man, it did remind me of how fucking badass Francis Ford Coppola is, and it makes me want to watch The Godfather Part 1 and 2 really bad.
I'm glad.
I always want to watch those movies.
Fucking dude, what are you doing on your birthday? Come over and
watching all the Godfather movies.
Part 1 and 2, get stinky butt and listen to it twice.
Sure, what are we watching next week?
Godfather? We're watching Godfather Part 1, 2, and 3. We are watching a movie next week.
I can guess what it is.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to guess right. This is something that we've talked about before as a group. None of us have seen it. And part of that is because it wasn't really streaming anywhere, and I decided to randomly check. And it's streaming. So we are going to watch the 1988 film Lair of the White Worm.
Oh, nice. Another vamp movie.
Vamp.
Back-to-back vamps.
I don't know how vampy this actually is. I did a little reading into like the plot, like pretty descriptive plot, and it does sound pretty wild and culty and strange.
Hugh Jackman, or not Hugh Jackman,
Hugh Grant.
Oh,
so
like
this
Hugh
is
Jackman.
So this is listed as a horror comedy. It is starring Hugh Grant.
Wild.
He's in one of the best movies ever made, Notting Hill. And for my Notting Hill fans out there, the actress that plays Tom's wife in the wheelchair is also in this movie. I don't think she's like a main character, but two people from Notting Hill. And Amanda Donahoe, who is Miranda in Liar Liar, the mean lawyer with the bangs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. It's on Tubi. Shout out to Tubi. one of our many
Shout out,
sponsors.
Tubes.
But yeah, this movie sounds like wild. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I hope so.
I really
I
don't
hope
know
it's
much
gonna
about
be
this
fun.
movie. I didn't know that there was any like comedy tie to it. Like I didn't know that would have been a tag.
I was surprised after reading. It doesn't sound. I mean, it sounds crazy, but like it doesn't sound funny. But I would encourage you to not. And I know you
I never
don't
do.
do this, but yeah, don't look it up. But I mean, all I've read is the IMDb synopsis. I haven't watched a trailer or read reviews or anything. So I'm pretty blind too. But it seems like a pretty fucking wild ride, and I love Hugh Grant. I don't think he can really do anything.
You were so next week you're hosting, and you were gonna make worms, Lair of the White Worms and Bones.
Yeah,
for
so
dinner,
I'm making worms, which the worms are their dollars.
Good.
Is that just cold spaghetti and we like
and
blindfolded and put our hands in them?
We're gonna have hair.
Hands.
You can pull the hair up, but not out.
What happens if you pull it out? They turn to
Then they
bones.
bones. But anyway, yeah, Lair of the White Worm, 1988. It's directed by
John
Ken Russell.
David.
Ken Russell, who I actually don't know the name, but like he's done a lot of stuff. Like he has like over 80 like director credits on feature films, and I scrolled through them and did not recognize any of them. But like he's got to be well known in some
Fashion.
circle.
Yeah.
Joe Bob
of
knows him.
Film,
Joe Bob
maybe
knows
like
him.
I don't know, but
What's his name? Ken Russell.
Ken Russell.
Oh, they said Kid Russell. I was like,
Yeah, it's Kid Rock's dad.
Kid Russell.
Is your dad?
No, Kid Rock. Oh yeah, I'm Kid. I look like Kid Rock. If you forgot.
But you're sexy and young and smart.
Hurry up and see if you know any of his films so we can wrap this
Oh,
up.
the
It's
Devils?
long.
Dude, he did the Devils. That's like one that's super high on my list. Okay, this motherfucker. And he did Altered States. And he did Tom. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know.
I've seen Altered States. Yeah, it's good.
I didn't know any.
This
of these.
motherfucker is bringing the heat.
So Ken Russell brings the heat. You learned it here first.
Sweet.
Yeah,
With
we're
some-
going to watch this
hopefully some good
shit out
prosthetic
of
weird
this.
shit going on.
Yeah, it's like a 90-minuter. That'll be nice.
Yes. All right. Well,
All right,
With that,
we love you, Elmers, and
We
we
love
thank you
you.
for listening, and we can't wait to see you next Wednesday evening, Thursday
right.
morning, for those of you who do not stream us live on Mixler. If you check us out the following day, then we are available Thursday mornings.
we're
probably
shooting on
only
Twitch,
Thursday.
right?
I'm not gonna fucking put this up tonight.
You heard it here. We're not putting it up tonight. We listen to it Thursday.
Elmers, you can fucking listen to this tomorrow.
Take your pants off.
Or listen to
Elmers.
it whenever
Take
you
off your
want, really.
pants. We recommend taking off your pants before you listen to this.
Yeah,
For
otherwise
safety.
they're gonna get pretty fucking
We're gonna
tight
have
at
to
the
change
sweet
it.
chocolatey sounds of Rob's voice.
Oh, yeah.
Take us away, Rob.
Ooh.
I just want to say.
Whoa. Holy fuck. We did not know.
My pants are getting shorter.
That's why I told you to take them off. Take them off. Take them off.
Take
man.
'em off.
Take them off before it's too late. Take them off before it's too late. Thank you.
Pull up with us, watch 2 films. Come on, watch 2 films. If you scared, don't come over here. 13th Elm.